Hi, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. It is day 7 of our amazing Hanukkah holiday. And as you can hear, I'm just starting to get better after being sick for pretty much all of Hanukkah. And I wanted to bring your attention very quickly in 3 minutes today to one of the most important spiritual, physical, mental, food related elements of this holiday. And that is this idea of the small, amount of warriors fighting this huge force of the Greek army and defeating them. The miracle of this tiny oil bringing tremendous light. This concept that what we think is possible if we're only dependent on the physical world versus what's possible when we invite Hashem into our relationships. And this includes our relationship with food. And so I want to bring your attention here to the emotional guidance scale. And what you may notice, and let me just explain what this is. This is all emotions now have actually scientifically been tested and found their place on kind of a vibrational scale. And I'm going to show you guys at the very end a very cool study where they show literally with scientific equipment, they can measure how our thoughts and feelings really turn into electrical signals that are sent through our body. So on the upward scale, you see the arrow is going up and it gets wider the more we're on top, versus in the downward scale, as it goes down, it gets wider towards the bottom. Where the spiral is widest is where you feel this very tremendous settling, stuck points along the spiral. In fact, in Jewish culture and Jewish thought, we believe that time and emotion in Jewish history are actually these interlocking spirals of positive and negative things that happen to us as a people that we relive at different moments in time. So the spiral has a huge history within Jewish philosophy and also is now proven to have some scientific backing in terms of our emotional states as well. So what does this have to do with you? Basically, over Hanukkah, you've probably experienced many of these emotional states. And no matter what you've eaten, you can have a better relationship with food. No matter what's happened, if you've been weighing yourself, you can come to a healthier relationship with food in your body where you're not gaining weight every single Jewish holiday and entering this period of having to lose weight and deprive yourself after every holiday and overindulge every holiday, going into Shabbos, going into the winter, and creating patterns of ill health and bad self-esteem versus creating patterns of tremendous growth, health, flourishing in a spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional way. And this all comes from your understanding of the emotional guidance scale. So here we have on the upward spiral, we have joy, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation. Anytime they talk about a gratitude practice, what they're trying to do is help you move towards this huge part of the positive emotional scale. Gratitude, empowerment, freedom, love, and appreciation are the most powerful emotions that we can access that bring God into our life, because every single one of those things says, I'm so small in this world and I have so much to be grateful for. There is so much that I have. There is such abundance that has been given to me. I am so blessed. And that means we've invited God into that picture. Passion means that we feel very active and engaged in what we're doing. Enthusiasm is we think positively and we have positive energy towards what we're doing. A positive expectation or belief means that we think we put some effort in, good things are going to happen. Optimism is we think in theory, if we put some effort in, good things might happen. Hopefulness, we think that in the world in general, there's such a thing as good efforts bring good results. Contentment, right down there on the bottom, is, it's enough, like kind of the good I've kind of had. It's not really gratitude. It's really lower on the scale. It's this sense of that I'll accept the minimum. I'm content with the minimum right now, and I'm afraid to hope for more. Maybe more isn't coming for me, but I have enough. It's just enough. Not good enough, but just enough. And this is all on the positive side on the scale. And the more that we spend time in our lives on this positive side of the scale, the higher our quality of life is going to be, the easier and less tension and anxiety we're going to find in our relationship to food. So where do we find that struggle in our relationship to food? It's in the downward spiral, because these emotions are very uncomfortable. And when things are uncomfortable in today's society, we are in this place of abundance. We are in this place of tremendous physical comfort, space to speak our thoughts and feelings and emotions, that we have a right to our voice, right? Like, this is not how it's been historically. Historically, there was not always enough food. There was not enough money. There was not a space to talk about your feelings necessarily. Like, these are all very modern benefits that we have. And sometimes, though, we don't know how to navigate them. Then when we do have discomfort, or we do have difficult feelings. And that's why Brene Brown's works on shame and grief, and not putting your negative feelings onto other people, but learning to be present with them, is so powerful in today's generation. And why the work of bitachon and emunah, faith and trust in God, are also critical, because they are the cure to spending so much time in our negative emotions without knowing how to navigate them. What does that all mean? Let's break it down. The more that you are stuck resisting the natural spiral of emotions on the negative side, the more you're going to look to food to get a quick win, to feel good, to deal with boredom. Nothing's necessarily wrong, right? But nothing's drawing me to the positive. Boredom, pessimism. I try hard, but things don't always work out. Frustration, impatience, irritation. I'm doing the best I can as a mother. I'm doing the best I can at work. I'm doing the best I can to eat healthy, and it's not happening fast enough. Overwhelm. I should be doing more. I should be doing more. I should be doing more. Disappointment. No matter how much I do, it's not enough. Doubt. Is it even worth putting in effort? Worry. Do I even have it within me? Is this ever going to work? Blame. Somebody else's fault. Discouragement. Doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's just never working out. Anger. I can't believe it's never working out. Revenge. It's never working out. It's your fault, and I am going to make you pay. Hatred. Rage. You're disgusting. This is disgusting. What you did is disgusting. I'm disgusting. Jealousy. Insecurity. Guilt. Unworthiness. Fear. Grief. Depression. Powerlessness. And finally, victimhood. And this is where we see this huge increase, unfortunately, in real mental disorders these days, very severe depression, God forbid, suicide, and all of these horrible hopelessness that live in the bottom, very wide section of the downward spiral. As you can see, when people are dieting, they spend a lot of time in frustration, overwhelm, disappointment, doubt, blame, worry, and discouragement. Very often, that's because they're feeling those things in other areas of their life. And then they're trying to make food fit into this box that will equal weight loss, that will give them all of the things on the positive side of the scale that they want, that they think are going to come when they've lost weight. They think when they've lost weight, they're going to feel so amazing about themselves. They're going to feel so optimistic about life. They're going to feel all of these things. But guess what? These emotional scales are independent of your circumstances. They have to do with the internal story you're telling yourself about your life. No matter how much weight you lose, you will live in the downward spiral if you don't learn how to handle and be with your negative emotions. What's more interesting is the more that you allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're actually feeling and not resist it or numb it or distract from it with food, the more easy it's going to be to go up the spiral and straight in to the upward side of that spiral. For example, over Hanukkah, very much, I'm sure you guys can relate to this. I was feeling in moments, very frustrated with my kids. They weren't being grateful enough. They were being super privileged. Like they were fetching and like, look at all these amazing blessings they have and they don't appreciate anything. I must be a failure as a mom. Oh my gosh, they're so disgusting. I can't even imagine. Like I'm doing all this stuff for them and they don't appreciate, like literally, I went all the way down into rage. But being able to sit in that feeling. And when my husband came over to me, is like, you look really upset. I'm like, I am. He's like, he starts talking at me about kids and this. I'm like, look, honey, right now I'm in this moment of like, I don't want to talk to you about how I'm feeling because I'm in that moment of revenge and rage and hatred where I could just say something hurtful because right now I want everyone to hurt as much as I'm hurting right in this moment. But if you just give me a minute, let me sit here by myself. I'll come back. Trust that my body wants to go back up that spiral. And so I just started tapping myself using the emotional freedom technique that we learned before Hanukkah in our group coaching program. And I just started going with, I really hate this feeling of watching everybody else's ADD destroy my vacation. I feel like everybody's ADD is destroying my vacation. And I hate it. And I just want this to happen. And I'm so angry. I just was with it. And then I said, but I also don't want to make my love for everybody else dependent on whether or not they've taken medication, whether or not they're showing their ADD symptoms. And I want to love them unconditionally. I want to love them even with this piece of themselves that I don't always enjoy. I want to do that. I want to do that. I'm tapping on that. And I want to be the kind of person who can love them despite. And then I said, what else do I want? Well, I really want that I'm not going to hold this against them. And I really want me not to suffer because of them. And this is where that faith and trust part comes in. When we turn that over to Hashem and we're like, look, everybody has their baggage. Kids have their baggage. My husband has their baggage. I have my baggage. I don't want my baggage to hurt anybody else. And I don't want their baggage to hurt me. And remember that Hashem is the one who manages the entire world and everybody's needs. And the only way that I can be hurt by what they're struggling with in that moment is if I let myself in my story be impacted by that their behavior reflects on me, that their behavior means something about me. And as a mom and as a wife, this is something we really have to work on uncoupling from constantly. And I start to move up into disappointment. I start to move up into a little irritation. And then I start to move into hopefulness. You know what? Like this can be better. Hashem can do anything. He can change the entire world in a minute. He can bring light into the darkness. He can have something that should be physically impossible, chemically impossible, that everybody who's having too much sugar, not enough medication today, struggling with their own feelings and emotions, struggling with sibling dynamics, with that, all those things that really like this can be turned around in a minute with God's help when he comes in the picture. And you start to have that positive expectation and belief. And then you start to feel enthusiastic about, hey, well, I can do me. I can come up with a better story. And about that's where I stopped, somewhere between 4 and 3. And I was able to go and have a wonderful evening. And then many, many times throughout Hanukkah and being sick, there's been constant disappointment and then anger at myself. And why am I still sick? Why can't I get better? Why can't I sleep? Why aren't people helping more? And then you go back up and you stay with those feelings and you come back up into hopefulness. Well, I am going to get better. Thank God I don't have so much work. It is vacation. I can take the time. All of these things where you're constantly allowing yourself to go up and down the emotional scale. And while this will change your life is the more that you are willing to use emotional freedom technique, the more you're willing to use meditation, the more you're willing to learn how to be present with your feelings at a little bit of emotional distance. It's the difference between saying, I am angry and saying, I'm experiencing angry feelings right now. Not fully identifying with the emotion you're experiencing, but realize that you're just sliding up and down on the scale, up and down, up and down. And the stories we're telling ourselves are giving all of this context. This is the work that we do in the Ideal Way group coaching, as we give you these tools so that you can have a healthier relationship with food and that you're not constantly looking to food to right the emotional boat, because what that does is it only stores those negative emotions in your body as extra weight, extra fat, extra heaviness of the soul and of the spirit that you are carrying around with you. And I can't wait to show you guys this one very, very powerful video about how scientifically this is a true fact. Guys, I would love for you to look up this experiment. That it's by Masaru Emoto.
The message from water. Mr. Emoto's work provides factual evidence that human vibrational energy, thoughts, words, ideas, and music affect the molecular structure of water. Please remember that water comprises over 70% of a mature human body and covers the same amount on our planet. Water is the very source of all life. This photo shows the beautifully formed geometric design of the Yushi Spring water. This next photo is from the Shimanto River, the last clean spring in Japan. Notice the extraordinary geometric forms. The fact that the molecular structure of water can be affected by our consciousness, our intent, and our sounds is extremely important. This photo is from the Mount Cook Glacier in New Zealand. Mr. Emoto has been visually documenting these molecular changes in water by means of his photographic techniques. He freezes droplets of water, then examines them under a dark field microscope that has photographic capabilities. His work clearly demonstrates the diversity of the molecular structure of water and the effects of the environment upon the structure of the water. This photo is from the fountain in Lourdes, France. This photo is from contaminated water from the Yodo River in Japan. In this photo, we can compare the contaminated water with clean stream water. Look at the difference. Mr. Emoto decided to see what effects music would have upon the structure of water. He placed distilled water between two speakers for several hours while playing different music and then photographing the crystals that formed after the water was frozen. This photo is of water being exposed to Beethoven's Pastorale. This photo is the effect of Bach's Air for the G-string on the water. This photo is water exposed to Chopin's Farewell Song. This next photo is water being exposed and affected to music that was designed for healing. This photo is of water being exposed to the Kawachi folk dance. This photo shows the effect of heavy metal music upon the water. Here now we can compare the effects of healing versus heavy metal music and what happens to the water molecules. Mr. Emoto decided to see how thoughts and words affected the formation of untreated distilled water crystals by typing words onto paper and then taping this paper onto glass bottles overnight. This photo shows the effects of the words, "Thank you." This next photo shows the effects of the words, "love" and "appreciation." This photo shows the effects of the words, "You make me sick, I will kill you." And here we can compare the effects of "thank you" with the "you make me sick, I will kill you." Very, very different geometric forms being incurred through the intention. Now this photo is of a very polluted and toxic water from the Fujiwara Dam. Here now is the same water from the Fujiwara Dam after a Buddhist monk had offered a prayer over it. Prayer, that sound coupled with intention, seems to have an extraordinary ability of restoring water to its natural, harmonious, geometric symmetry. And in this photo we can compare the toxic water and then the effects of praying over the water.
Thank you, everybody. The last thing I want to leave you with, as we talked about the emotional scale, is a type of vibration like music, like sound, and it's even more powerful when we are saying these words and thoughts to ourselves. Remember, 70% of the human body is water. And when we think and feel about ourselves, affects the cellular structure of the water within our own body. And when we make a blessing on a food, when we have positive mindful intention when we're eating, it completely transforms the cellular structure and impact of the water within that food, and therefore how it interacts in our body. And this is where that spiritual, mental, emotional part, the intentional mindful eating, is as important as the nutrition content of the food you're eating. Ms. Chanukah, remember that miracles and light are all around us, constantly a part of us. Thank you for sharing your time with me.